Brooke told Ridge at the fountain that she was waiting for Nick, not him. Ridge stated he wanted her to know he was a jerk when she took over as CEO during the coup. He tried to take full responsibility for his actions, but he never intended to cause her sorrow. He reminded her that they had known from the moment they met that they would always be in each other's lives, and that he never intended to give her sorrow since he loved her. Brooke agreed that she would always love him, but she wanted to know if that was all he had said. "I apologize. I apologize for any misunderstanding of what you did. I'm sorry I hurt you, I really am," Ridge exclaimed. He didn't want her to doubt how much he cared for her. Brooke told Ridge that she knew, but she needed to know what he was actually saying. Ridge removed his sunglasses, but before he could continue, Nick interrupted and escorted Brooke away. While in his hotel room, Eric received a call from Donna, informing her that Nick was in town and was about to wreck his goal of reconciling Ridge and Brooke. Donna was shocked when Eric said that Nick understood exactly what he wanted and was eager to pursue Brooke, that he saw him with an engagement ring, and that he even saw the two of them kissing. Donna wondered whether Ridge knew. Eric stated that he needed to find Ridge immediately away, and Donna firmly agreed. At the Spencer mansion, Bill told Liam how relieved he was that he would be okay. Finn entered the front door with his medicine bag. He was delighted Liam had a change of scenery by coming into the living room, but he didn't want him to push it. Bill recounted Liam's miraculous encounter and expressed gratitude to Dr. Grace Buckingham. Finn expressed his curiosity, marveled at Grace's medical miracle, and questioned why he hadn't noticed it sooner. Bill shrugged, remarking that Liam was possibly the first patient to benefit from the medical innovation, and they were simply fortunate that Grace was aware of it. Liam didn't care that he was on trial, and Bill was pleased that he had paid Grace $1 million to do it. Finn was shocked. "You paid $1 million for Liam's surgery?" Bill claimed he would have paid $100 million to cure his son. Finn wanted to know who received the money, but Bill wasn't sure. He added that in normal circumstances, he would have known every detail, but time was of the essence, and all he could concentrate about was saving his son, so his aide carried out the transaction. Finn couldn't help but giggle at the absurdity of the scenario. Liam remarked on the irony that, despite everything that had happened with the Buckinghams, Grace was the one who saved him. Finn recalled how Grace's husband, Reese, snatched Beth as a newborn and sold her to Steffi, who had no idea it was an illegitimate adoption. They all agreed that it had a significant negative impact on Steffi and Hope. Liam referred to Reese as a monster, and Finn concurred. After Finn left, Liam thanked his father for paying $1 million to save him, and he was aware of the magnitude of the situation. Bill argued that the money was properly spent and apologized once more for not listening to Luna. Liam stated that they would never have to talk about her again because she had died. Bill reiterated that he could never repay Dr. Buckingham for saving Liam's life. At the hospital, Grace angrily told someone on the phone not to disturb her or her daughters again. She tried to calm herself down after hanging up and then glanced at some brain scans on the computer, wincing. Grace snapped at Christy, a lab technician who had brought her a file. She apologized, saying she was under a lot of strain. Grace contacted one of her daughters to remind her how much she adored her and her sibling. Grace hesitated briefly after the call, and then appeared distressed after erasing Liam's medical records from her computer. Meanwhile, Finn returned to the hospital and called a lab from his office, wondering why he couldn't find anything in the system concerning Liam's brain scan after seeing it earlier. Nick and Brooke walked through the downtown streets, having gelato and enjoying each other's company. They arrived at the marina, and Nick showed Brooke his motorboat that was moored. He said he only kept it in Naples for rare occasions. He inquired if she was ready for an adventure on the boat, and Brooke assured him that she was. Nick instantly called Tomas to confirm that the boat was ready to go, which it was. Ridge returned to the hotel room and told Eric what had occurred to Brooke. Eric couldn't believe Ridge had just let Brooke escape with Nick. "Do not do that, Ridge. Time is running out here," he moaned. Eric told his son that he spotted Nick at the marina and assumed Nick could propose while out on his boat. Grace recounted the stages of Liam's brain cancer in her office, from when she thought he was dying to when she claimed to have saved him. She was startled out of her serious thoughts by the sound of the door firmly closing. Finn strolled in and informed her that he had just checked in on Liam. "He's doing remarkably well," Gray informed him. She told him Liam was lucky he made house calls like that, but Finn pointed out that Liam was a member of his family, and he would always check on him. He also mentioned that Liam was fortunate that Bill had $1 million to pay her for the experimental surgery. What's happening, Grace? I want answers. Finn hissed. I want them right now. The morning sun poured gently through the transparent drapes, throwing gold on the hardwood flooring of the cliffside mansion. Finn stood barefoot at the window, a cup of coffee cooling in his palm, his gaze lost in the agitated shimmer of the Pacific below. He hadn't gotten much sleep. The questions from last night gnawed at the corners of his mind, insistent and unyielding. Grace's name kept echoing. Grace Buckingham, a lady shrouded in mystery, but suddenly at the center of a web of money, secrets and second chances. When he overheard the phrase $1 million miracle, thrown around casually in Deacon's pub last night, spoken with both amazement and suspicion, it was impossible not to explore deeper. His findings did not seem to make sense. Not yet. You're up early, Steffi whispered quietly behind him, putting a robe around herself as she approached, her voice tinged with sleepiness. She rested a loving hand on his shoulder and peered out beside him. You're thinking about Grace again, aren't you? Finn offered a slow nod. Yeah, something is not right. I'm not sure what it is, but there's more to this miracle narrative than we've been told. Steffi leaned against the frame, looking at his profile. She's Zoe and Paris' mother. I don't know her well, but she never struck me as someone who gets involved in dirty deals. She has always been clinical, proud. It was kind of icy. Finn sipped his coffee and turned to face her. I am not saying she is a criminal, but the $1 million came out of nowhere. One day, she was fighting to renew her medical license while barely affording rent. Next, she pays off all of her bills, makes a big donation to Cedars and then buys a house in Bel Air, Steffi concluded, her face furrowed. Exactly. They sat on the couch as Finn pulled up documents on his tablet, including public donations, real estate transfers, and even archived board meeting notes. Everything transpired in the space of 2 weeks. And no one is asking questions since it is being portrayed as a miracle turnaround. They're calling it a redemption arc. But who writes the checks in true redemption stories? Steffi frowned. What are you thinking? Finn paused. I believe someone paid her off. Or she received hush money. Possibly even blackmail. I do not know yet. But I want to find out. Steffi leaned in, her voice suddenly apprehensive. Be careful, Finn. If Grace is involved in something illegal, or worse, dangerous, investigating it could have unintended consequences. You have patience, a family, a reputation. He nodded, acknowledging her anxiety, but his instincts as a doctor, and as a man who had vowed to serve others, kept driving him ahead. I only want the truth. If Grace has truly turned her life around, that is wonderful. What if she didn't? Is something being hidden? Steffi sighed and brushed a strand of hair behind her ear. Then let's hope you find out before someone silences you. Later that day, Finn traveled to Cedarsona. Grace was slated to speak on a panel about diversity in medicine, as part of her new humanitarian image. He wasn't on the guest list, but as a respected physician, he didn't mind sliding into the rear of the conference hall, arms folded and watching. Grace stood erect on stage, her posture faultless and her words rehearsed. The audience hung on her every word as she spoke about hardships, recovery, and second chances. She even quoted scripture. But Finn's attention was drawn to her body language, the slight hesitations in her grin, and the way her fist clutched just a little too hard around the microphone when someone in the audience noted the gift. Something wasn't right. She didn't simply give an encouraging message. She also performed. Desperately. Finn waited after the lesson concluded. He followed her into the corridor, taking care not to surprise her. Dr. Buckingham, he said, and she turned, her smile fading somewhat as she saw him. Dr. Finnegan. I didn't expect to see you here. I'm not here as a doctor, he added gently. I only wanted to talk. Off the record. She examined him, her piercing eyes assessing his features. About the donation, the house, a sudden miracle. A significant lull occurred between them. Grace's expression stiffened. I don't think that's any of your business. Perhaps not. But I know something's wrong. You are afraid. I can see it. Whatever you're hiding is eating at you. She averted her gaze for a brief period, allowing her facade to crumble. You don't know what you're talking about. Maybe not, Finn acknowledged. But I know what it looks like when someone is attempting to flee something. You are not standing on a pedestal. You are trapped on it. That hit a nerve. Her gaze flared and her lips tightened. Walk away, Dr. Finnegan. This is not your fight. Finn moved back, respectful yet firm. I am not here to hurt you. Grace, what if someone bought your silence? What if that silence hides something that could harm others? You owe it to yourself to come clean. She didn't respond, but the tremble in her palm spoke more than her words ever could. Meanwhile, across town, Rich paced in his office at Forrester Creations, gazing out the floor-to-ceiling windows as if they held answers. He'd practiced what he was going to say a dozen times, but nothing sounded quite right. How do you apologize to a woman you've hurt repeatedly and expect her to trust you? The door creaked open. Brooke's here, Donna whispered gently, her eyes unsure. You sure about this? Rich nodded. Yeah, I need to do this. Brooke came as she always did, graceful and confident, but this time with a weariness in her eyes that Ridge hadn't seen in years. Not since the last time he failed her. She crossed her arms. What is it, Ridge? You said it was important. He nodded, his heart pumping. It is. She waited. Silent. Expectant. Tired. I owe you an apology, he said, his voice lower than usual. Not just for what occurred last month. For all of it. The lies. The mistrust. The assumptions. Brooke's gaze softened slightly, but she did not speak. I let my pride get in the way. I doubted you. I believed things about you without consulting you first. I ignored your voice and instead listened to Taylor, Thomas, and Sheila. Brooke, I have spent so many years jumping between people. But you've always been the one person who has supported me. And I keep pushing you away. She peered down, blinking quickly. Ridge. I thought that walking away was heroic. Perhaps we needed some distance. But space did not solve anything. It just made it plain to me that I've been running from accountability, from confronting the damage I've done. And from you. Brooke took a step forward and carefully uncrossed her arms. Why now? Because I'm tired of pretending I can move forward without you, he told me. I realize I have betrayed your trust. I understand that words aren't enough. But I'm not here to ask for forgiveness. Rather, I'm come to tell you that I finally understand what I've done. And that I am willing to do whatever it takes to make things right, even if it means beginning from the ground up. Brooke glanced at him, her heart wrenched. She wanted to believe him. She always did. But belief was perilous. It built bridges over gaps that were never filled. Every time she walked across that bridge, it crumbled under the weight of his words. I need time, she answered finally. I can't just let you in again. Not yet. Ridge nodded. Take as much time as you need. I will be here. There is no pressure. No demands. Just here. She waited for a bit longer before quietly leaving Ridge alone in the silence he had finally learned to embrace. Back at the hospital, Finn sat in his office poring over papers. Grace had not admitted anything, but she had not denied anything either. This was enough to keep him gazing. What he discovered next reinforced his suspicions. Nearly $1 million were wired from an unknown account in Monaco. Scrubbed clean. Finn had IT friends and even digital ghosts left footprints. The original source had connections to a shell firm. One that made headlines a year ago was linked to none other than Sheila Carter. He dropped his pen. Sheila. Of course. Everything clicked at once. Sudden fortune. Grace had fear in her eyes. The secret. Sheila had paid her. But why? To keep her quiet on something? Or to enlist her help? He didn't know yet. But he would. He took up the phone and dialed Steffi. We have a problem, he explained. This is Sheila. She is involved in Grace's miracle. Steffi's voice on the other end of the line had lowered to a whisper. What now?